Sometimes I just need to vent it out. Sometimes my irritation level rises. But this one is it's just like family. It involves my mom, and it involves finances. So my mom lives in an apartment, same apartment complex my stepmom Karen. It seemed like a good idea a couple years ago for them to move in the same area because, my mom's 76 and Karen, I think, almost 60. So still a younger chicken than my mom. And I thought, because we got her out of Kensington where she's on a second floor and climbing up the stairs, and they're really steep stairs, and it's just, you always think that you don't want people to fall down the damn stairs and kill themselves like that. And so we got her out of there, moved her into this place. My brother Billy has basically lived with her, hasn't really cut the umbilical cord. And he's older than me. I think he was like 50. How old are you, Bill? 40? I'm 47. Well, 6. You're like 50 or 51 or something. He always has, he's a hoarder. My mom is a hoarder as well. But I've learned my mom's not really the hoarder compared to my brother. There's something that he just doesn't, hoarderism is something where you just can't let go of the past. It's a problem if you hoard stuff. So what he does is he'll live with her, or he'll stay just enough to bring some stuff over, and so she's in a 1-bedroom apartment. It's downstairs. There's only a handful of steps to go down, and to going over there, you can always tell when Billy stops by, because you'll go in, there'll be some, like a generator over there in the closet, or there's a motorcycle engine that's sitting over there next to the TV, and then it'll smell like grease. There's a smell. And the one time, whatever, it was all kind of cleaned out. I was surprised because it was like gone, and then the house was kind of cleared out. And my mom's always been poor. The reason why I became a thief is because when we were younger, if you wanted to eat well, then I had to go to the Circle K in Florida and steal some ham and cheese, and it's just kind of, it's like I get used to that. And then when I grew up I still had that thief mentality. Even though I landed a good job and made good money and winded up in jail for stealing, because it's a spirit that needs to get cast out. How does that get cast out? Well, for me, I had to go to jail and sit there and suffer for a year and a half, not knowing when I'm getting out, having no clue until the day I got out. And it's frustrating like that, because There were people that had the same sentence that I had, but they got it right from the gate. And then they spent like 6 months in jail and went right to work release and did the rest of their time like that. So when you're sentenced ahead of time, when you know your sentence, yes, it's definitely better than not knowing your sentence. And that's the same suffering mentality that I have now in my mind towards the world and the system, is that I don't know when it's going to change. I have an idea, I hear things, but then what does change even look like anyway? And a 7-year tribulation period, okay, well, when is it over? And because the main thing that I want to do, here's what my problem is with this system. It's so sickening, this system. But what am I supposed to expect? This is a living hell. The things that I know when I don't even understand how I know it, but it becomes true, and then it manifests, and it's like, oh wow, I felt that way 4 years ago, and it's exactly what it is now. And it's almost like I seen it, or I already lived through it, but I just don't remember it. Somehow I knew, hopping onto YouTube, I knew that judgment was coming because my pappy, Harold Camping, taught me. Whether he's from the inside or not, whether he's, I don't know, somebody on YouTube right now behind another mask with some old man voice, who even knows anymore? But I knew judgment was coming in 2011, and it did. And I just didn't know to what degree. But the judgment that's coming is for the rich and greedy. And that's just the facts. That's what it is. It's for the very high upper class that has control of money and is very greedy with it. Doesn't and keeps people as slaves through the money system. And then the amount of people that do dirty deeds for the money, I'm sure it's at its highest level, and it still isn't even at its peak just yet, because everybody has to do what they're doing. So what irritates me, and God, please help me, there's nothing I want more than, I heard that if you ask, you shall receive. So Father God, what I'm asking is for you to take care of my mother before she dies. And how do you do that? Well, it's through finances somehow. And it's not through asking people for money and donations. I tried that route. It worked for a little bit, and I helped my mom with some bills and stuff, and it felt good. But it's not how it should be. And mainly, everything's about finances, everything's about time. And so I don't have the finances and I don't have the time. Do I have a house that has extra rooms? Well, yeah, I do. But at the same time, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm not a physician. I'm not certified, registered. I don't have that. I'm not looking for to be a nursing home and then take care of a person that is, you know, like you know, you have animals, you always got to feed them every day, right? You got to let them out. You got to, it's like, did you think of that? Did you think of that before you got the animal, that you're going to have to feed them every single day until the day the animal dies? I didn't think of that when I got Bowie. I wasn't thinking of that when I picked the cats up. I only started contemplating that recently, where, man, you know, you can't really, if you want to go on vacation, you're going to have somebody to see if they can watch your animals. And it's just like, and it's a never-ending thing. My idea that I'm asking God to do is to take care of my mother. And anybody else that gets into that situation before they die. Because, you know, you elite people, your mothers, your fathers, well, they don't really suffer when they're dying, right? What's the worst thing that can happen to people on this earth? They die suffering. You can be sick. You don't have the energy anymore. You're crippled or injured, or you can't work anymore, and you only work to pay for a roof over your head. And that's basically what I've been doing for the past 12 years. I've been working simply just to put a roof over my head. And if you go east down Route 73, probably about 10 miles, you'll hit I-95 right where the bridge collapsed after I drove over it and said, we've all been lied to. When does it end? When does it end? When does it get freed up? When is this, God, when are you going to step in and just slam the hammer down once and for all, for good, forever? Goodbye, Satan. You're a spirit, Satan, right? You were created. God's the one that created you. He created darkness first. Then he formed the light. I understand the light is being formed, and I know that it's going to happen, but man, I hate the fact that I don't know the timing of it and the day or the hour. And it's like when I was in jail, I had no idea when I'm going home. I don't know the day or the hour until the day those gates open up and I'm free from the visible prison. This prison here is, the walls are further out. You can't see it. Derek Bros knows all about this prison planet, and Jacob Israel. Sometimes you seem to think it's funny, laughing at it. But sure, it's funny when you don't have to suffer through it like everybody does down here. And I know it's all a script. I know you know the beginning and the ending as well. And I'm just venting it out. I hate that there's not enough time in a day to do things. I hate that I work for a living that goes back and forth. I hate that the system is, well, you just have to accept it and you just to move on it. Nah, you don't. I'm not. I've dealt with it growing up because it's all I knew. And now I know that if you text 3303, Joe Biden time, it's time for you to go bye-bye, Joe. You bought enough time. Your time's up. Now that I know that I have a voice and It's effective. It's effective between me and the masters of the universe. It's not effective to most of the people that listen, or even family members, or whoever is listening that's not part of the inside and doesn't truly know. It would be especially my family. The things that I talk about they sound so delusional, but the masters of the universe, you know damn well that I'm right on point with it. And my frustration level of it is legitimate. There's stories in the Bible that remind me of myself, venting things out. Being the person to shape things up, but it's such an irritating, long suffering, when does it ever freaking end? When do you don't you get tired, Satan? Like, don't you just get tired of being you? Yeah, of course you do. Just ask Jonathan Click. Because when Satan was running his host body, the whole system that's the way it is now isn't going to be soon. You know why? Because that same Satan that was inside of that body has been cast out. But who's responsible for that? Jesus. Jesus is the one that did it. But did Jesus do it just because he read the Bible and he was like, oh, that's nice what Jesus did back then, huh? Or did he do it within the past 6 years? Jonathan Click, when did you cast Satan out? Was it on February 29, 2020? Did you decide that, you know what, Robin, nerd, you're in deep, deep, deep trouble, Robin Hood and all your skills? Or is Jonathan Click just an actor? And he's more like Moses, putting on the Pharaoh's headdress. And Derek Brose is really the true Pharaoh of the United States of America, who created this prison planet. I'm not exactly sure who it is. And to those of you that are still listening and you think I'm batshit crazy, I can't wait to meet you face to face when the system changed in my favor, and I get to just shake your hand and give you a hug and tell you, I told you so. Oh man, vindication, vengeance, the day of the Lord. I have a right to be frustrated. I have a right to complain. I don't do it that often, but it's because I'm going through it and I'm a part of it. And it's unseen and it's frustrating because it's so damn obvious. Into the 6th year, starting with the art museum footage. Tell everybody about your artwork, Jonathan Click. I need you to tell everybody about the artwork inside of the Philadelphia Art Museum. I walked through that building, which is a serpent wearing a crown, as I drew Jonathan Click as being eaten by that serpent, because that's your face. Whether you're the serpent, the dragon, the beast, the false prophet, or Moses and Aaron combined, whoever you really are, I need you to tell people about how that happened. And I need you to explain that Robin Henry Tees walked into my art museum and we used his footage to make our YouTube videos 30-something years ago. I just need you to tell people that. Just admit it. And it needs to be something that's public. That way I can take care of my mother, so when she's fading out, she can at least live in a cleaner, more comfortable environment that's in a house that's right down the road from me, or even a mother suite that's built right off to the side. That way she has her own area and I'm right there. But everything's brand new, and I'm not traveling back and forth to work anymore, and she'll have the proper care where a nurse comes out every day and just, whatever. As people deteriorate when they get older and they have needs, that's what I need, Father. I need that, because it's irritating to think that for the rest of my life, however long that is, that whoever I know and are dying, or they die, and it's like, look, death comes no matter what. But to the rich elite that takes care of their fathers and their mothers when they die, doesn't it make you feel, if you do give two shits even about your parents, doesn't it at least feel better knowing that as they're dying off, they're not in some little shithole apartment that's stacked with stuff, and you can't get this, if you had like a brother, or say, that just is such a hoarder that leaves all of his stuff in there, and you tell him to get it out, and he doesn't, and then you threaten that you're going to throw it away, and then a couple things get taken out, but then it gets stacked 5 times more than before, which reminds me of that saying where something about the devil, or the evil spirits leave, and then they come back, and there's like, it's like it's swept clean, but then they come back and it's like 7-fold more worse than what it was before. So my complaint is out loud to God, who is running the whole entire universe, but allows Satan to do what he's doing right now. You're still allowing him to do it. At what point is that contract over? And he's finished with his deputyship. Because what is it really? What do you really want in life? What is life even about down here on Earth anyway? Or whatever this plane is. I don't remember asking to be here. I don't remember asking to be born. I wake up, I realize, oh, I did this before. I just don't remember. I wake up, I turn on the YouTube videos. Oh, look at that. It's my footage in the art museum. That's pretty crazy. Send Me an Angel by the Scorpions. The reason why Jonathan Kleck talked about the Scorpion the day before I showed you the Scorpion video is because he knew that I was going to show the Scorpion video, because it's been recorded. So it's something that it reminded me of it. At the same time, I've been meaning to get to it to show you where I'm at. Where I'm at in the video. What pertains to me in that video. And the frustration level of knowing what I know, but yet it's not manifested. Am I being impatient? Should I just wait until it happens? I mean, I have no other choice. But that's what the frustration level is. There's a very obviousness to it, to everybody that's involved. And considering the fact that every other person that's not involved, it's hard to even really talk to anybody, because that's what's on my mind is the things that have already been done before. And it's like I'm just repeating it. Who steps in? When does it, like, when do you, who do you use, God, to represent you, to step in and to be the final judge and flip the damn tables over on the elite and turn against them? Is that Jonathan Kleck? Is that who you're going to use? I'm waiting. I'm waiting for an answer. I'm listening. Who's going to be the one that says, "Hey, Robin, I'm gonna make here. I heard your prayer because you prayed out loud to God, and He told me, because you know how Jonathan Kleck hears from the Lord all the time. Well, if you're hearing from the Lord, Jonathan Kleck, then the Lord's telling you clearly to take care of Robin's mother to start with." It doesn't matter who, it doesn't matter what spirit people have. When you're dying out, you're moving on to the next level. I don't really know exactly what that level is going to be. I'm not sure if you go up or down. I would hope that this is just the beginning and then you go up. But, oh, Enlil, L and L, Enlil. Who's the one that is in charge of things? But if you're a devil your entire life, you're living down here on earth and you die, I know what it is. You know what it is? You just come back here again and repeat, and you don't even know. All you're going to do is repeat. I think that's one thing that Stephen James was actually telling the truth about. I know it's hard to believe, because he said that you're just going to repeat it and repeat it. So, well, why wouldn't you go to hell then? If you die unsaved from yourself, and he's saying how many people came back and they repeated it, and it's all right. Well, then hell isn't an actual place. It's just a spiritual feeling that you can put yourself through. And if you have the wrong leader of the world, he will make that a living hell for everybody. Although for himself, he lives in heaven. And that kind of reminds me of Satan being cast out of heaven, because you were up there, you're living large, and everybody's your slave down here because they love that money. Boy, they'll do anything for it. And then what happens, Satan, is you come across someone like myself that is so fed up with just the nonsense that's happening on the television set, knowing that it's you lying to people, and then finding out who's in charge of everything, and then challenging you directly for all these years as you are Satan in control. But yet, don't you turn in to Jesus as his representative, Adam? Didn't Eve fall first? Who came in my direction first? Who is still in my direction at the end? Who was in my direction at first? Just replace the L with a J and read it backwards. Evil. Evil. Who came in my direction first? Evil did. What's evil? Lying, accusing the brethren. That's what's evil. So Eve came first. Evil came first in my direction, and Eve fell. Then Adam. The Lord God of hosts. I try to put these characters together because I paid attention to you guys for quite some time. And I know that in the end, you're all supposed to have YouTube channels. Moses knew what was going to happen. He could strike the earth with all sorts of plagues. Those two witnesses, Moses and Elijah. You know why? Because they knew what was going to happen from the Lord God. And so, of host. So when I'm listening to Steve Benoon talking about Moses and Elijah being able to strike the earth, but mainly Moses with the plagues, and when fire is going to fall from heaven, the next day it's going to fall. If he tells you it's going to happen, it's going to happen. It's not that he's God per se, it's just that he's going to be a god to Pharaoh. So there's a Lord God of hosts that's in charge up above, and then comes down to this planet through the Ethernet or through Planet X or whatever the medium is on the YouTube platform. And then that's his way of striking the earth. So when that bridge collapsed, and Jonathan Clegg is talking to you about stomping the head of the serpent over the threshold, stepping on the threshold, and then I show you the Philadelphia bridge that burned down and collapsed, and in between that threshold is a serpent head crushed with a bent neck. As Mr. Shapiro, the governor, I believe his name is, told you that they are working at a breakneck speed. And then don't tread on me? Who you told? Who? What? Why shouldn't I? Why don't you stop lying? And why don't you stop being greedy, serpent? And you won't have to be stomped on. And it's all about fear tactics, too. It's like, if you, Robin, you can't talk that. You can't say that. Robin, they'll gang stalk you more. I said I'd be positive, right? I said that day, at 6-9. I said I'm going to be more positive. Well, today I'm just venting. I'm being positive. God's going to answer my prayer shortly, where I'm asking. So if I'm asking and I have faith in God, and he promised, if you ask, you shall receive. Well, do you need to know the timing in order to ask at the right time? And then you shall receive? It's like knowing the script. 2 years ago, like, I can't really ask. It's not time yet. I think it's time. It's very close to that time. But I also need to see the William Penn building surrounded by military army men. I need to see Center City, Philadelphia, basically the core of the army. And then that would be the same place that the parade happens that goes down the Benjamin Franklin Parkway from one end to the other, from east to west, from old Willie Penn to the infamous Philadelphia U2 Art Museum and everything in between, and the Garden of Eden and Gennady, Gateway, the gate that's right there to the bottom, to underneath. Is that where you rise up from, Johnny? Do you come up from that pit? Even though I'm really in this pit, rising up from here? sending SOS signals out. That's all I've been doing, is sending out SOS signals all these years. When do you finally answer the prayers, God? Because I know that using me with having my faith is going to be proven out. In the future, I can use so many videos to help people believe in God. I'm not talking about, hey, look, there's art museum footage. Look, it's the same. Look, they're copying me. Look. No, Robin, that's impossible. They made that video 30 years ago. Yeah, I know. Look, that's why it's a miracle. Look. He who has ears, can you hear? He who has eyes, can you see it? Look, there it is. There it is again and again and again and again. It's not just you two, it's Scorpion too. All right, well, look, I'm been given power to tread on the head of scorpions. And so Jonathan Kleck just wanted to show you that the day before I showed you the Scorpion video, because he knew I was going to do it the next day, because that's what this weird-ass world is. I can get everybody to turn to God. Everybody that watches my video. I can get you to truly believe in God. But Jacob Israel, I think you're in my way. I think you're the one that's in my way. I think you're admitting that you're in my way. One of yous are in my way. Somebody's in my way, because they're not. Stephen James and Sean, you're in my way. Because you're lying to people about me. But you're doing it because you're trying to hide me somehow. But you can't. It's like, when a baby's being born, you can't keep the baby in your belly all that time, can you? Eventually, you can't hide it anymore. There's a birthing that takes place, and it becomes a public birth. Yeah, not everybody's gonna like it, but tough shit. You had your time, elite. You had your time on this earth to do anything that you wanted, and I'm just here to tell you it's over very shortly. It's I don't know the day or the hour, but it's coming. And I pray that it happens on my birthday. I pray to God that my birthday is darkness and plume, and just an astronomical event takes place that does another proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that God is answering my prayers. But I have to say it out loud first, and then it happens. There's no question that the bridge was a footprint of God's foot stomping the bridge out and crushing the serpent's head and stopping him in his tracks. Now, I still feel like the other side of I-95 will also be compromised. Coming into Philadelphia from, say, around the Benjamin Franklin Bridge, like in that area. Because at some point, Philadelphia has to be closed off from all traffic. And then the grand finale happens right there. Just like the V for Vendetta movie. It looks like the William Penn building is what gets blown up. But I don't know if that needs to happen. Because how would that happen with army people all over the place? I don't know. But it starts with my prayer to God out loud is to take care of my mom, my earthly, motherly given, the mother that I was given on earth. Okay? For her final days to be able to give every one of us a peace of mind. All 5 of her children. Because we're all separated. My sister Barb lives up in Maryland. Dawn lives in Maryland, but they're like 3 hours from each other. 3 hours from Philly. And my brother Mike lives closer to my mom, but yet Billy is the closest. But yet he's the most irresponsible moocher off my mom that doesn't give her, doesn't pay any type of bill when he says I'll pay rent to get in, and then time goes by and she's not getting paid anything, and it's just like a pacifier. She doesn't even have a phone now. The TV just fell on her head. She doesn't have a cell phone. She doesn't have the house phone because it got shut off from the person that had the phone in the name. But yet my brother Billy is there, and he's been working for the past 5 years. I got him the job. He gets paid every week on time. Doesn't have one bill to pay except for a phone bill. Doesn't have any rent to pay. Doesn't have car insurance. Doesn't pay for anything. Doesn't have any money. Always broke. Never able to give my mom anything. Doesn't make sense. It's like talking to this freaking brick wall in front of me. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to move. It's not going to talk back. It's just going to look at you. I don't know how anything works, but I'm asking God to take care of my mom. And to give us all peace of mind. Oh, and if you don't mind building me a house, I would like to have that too, Father. I mean, you did put me here on this earth for a reason, right? Now that I know that there's somebody on the YouTube platform that represents your face, your voice, I'm talking to you. You can easily make it happen. You're going to make it happen. I'm not going to force you to do it. You're willingly going to do it because you know that you do represent God on earth. And it's your job to do that because you're the one that makes things happen, to rearrange stuff. And it sickens you to see the way that the system is right now. Even though at some point you may have been all for it. But, you know, even God repents. Ain't that something? Even God repents. He repented that he made man. I look to the left, the guy hops up out of his vehicle only because I looked there. That's how precise and pointless the gang stalking corporation is. You have people at my every angle, every moment, every possible sickening second of this disgusting earth. You have people assigned to just doing dumb tactics because they're being controlled by Satan. And it's pointless. Why don't you spend all that effort and time into helping people? Just feel a little bit more comfortable while we're here in this shithole planet. How's that? Thanks.